you've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor ceramic hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order. You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor ceramic hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order.
and a lovely Saturday evening to all spending their time and their evening here with us this lovely Saturday evening. I've said the evening about 3 or 4 times too many already, but that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round 3 of the Praga Cup Chase for Pace season finale. We are now in the final 2 stages of this championship, and the points are separated by mere ones and twos, so we will see a nice battle brewing here as the championship boils down. We are here at the historic Snetterton circuit located in Norfolk, UK. 2.97 miles, 4.78 kilometers, 12 unique turns, and renowned for its combination of high-speed straights and technical sections, testing both speed and precision. These 2-liter turbocharged Praga R1 race cars with their high downforce and lightweight carbon fiber construction should pose a very fun race here for our drivers and fans alike. We've used this track many of times in Assetto Corsa Competizione platform, but for the first time, I believe, at the JSRA, we will be utilizing it here in Assetto Corsa. But the race format for this evening will be a 40-minute race plus 1 lap. There will be no mandatory pit stops, but tire wear is set to 150%. So as we've seen in previous races, we should expect a lot of tire saving maneuvers in the latter stages of, or even in the early stages of this race. So a lot to behold in the next few moments to come. We do have 17 minutes of practice, so I will get back to the action sooner than later, but just to bring up the audience's speed after round 2, well, let's start from round 1. After round 1, the Team A JSRA was down by a mere 12 points. Luckily, after round 2, Team A JSRA did score 44 points to Nova Racing's 30 points, so the two are separated by a mere 2 points. Now that we scored 14 points over Nova Racing team, we were down by 12. Now we're up by 2, 491.5 for Team A, 489.5 for Nova Racing. Team B very much so out of the hunt, as well as GT Panama and Arteta Racing. So assuming that's why the numbers have dwindled so much, and as we've stated in the first original stage of this series, we'll be looking to revamp the league at the conclusion of this race, so of this series. So we are going to be looking at ways how we can minimize the duration of the championship, so that the racers have a little bit more a little bit more chance there, let's say, for victory in the long run. As you can see now, the key sandbagger for this evening has been Tim Staub, now being the first person in the 151.8s. So he was clearly hiding his pace, as he was joking around that he did not have any for this series. Estefano Barrera in P2 with a 152.235, and Jaden Harrison with a 152.936, and then the next two, Raven Plummer and Luis Daniel Velez, with a 53.2 and a 53.3. So we'll continue to monitor and see where their times will reflect at the latter stages of this race. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, we are expecting to see some very intense battling as the semifinals ensues this evening. And as you can see, the points are literally separated by a mere few points here, 2 points, let's say, for between the two teams. So I know that these drivers will be putting their all this evening to make sure that they can capitalize for their teams. So just to go briefly over this circuit, the Snetterton circuit after the start-finish straight, which is also denoted as the Senna straight. We head into turn 1 by Rich's fast right-hander. That requires uh, very precise throttle control. You will see, especially with these high downforce cars, that car just gripping and utilizing those front tires. So as you see Raven Plummer here coming down the center straight, heads around that corner as she heads into turn 2 by the Wilson's corner, which is a very tight hairpin here that follows the high-speed turn 1. Great overtaking spot that we should see a lot of action here. Some very aggressive braking is to come out of Wilson. But after that, that brings it to turn 3 by Palmer. A sweeping left-hander that requires maintaining the speed to set up for the next sequence by turn 4. Agustin. Very slow left hand hairpin as there goes Raven Plummer around that corner. Heads up to Hamilton, a quick left hand kink. You see right about here. You stay on the power, stay, heading into turn 6. And this is a tricky right hander, very deceptive, and you may see some understeer here because drivers may go on the power a little bit too early, but that just comes with practice. And we see a few latecomers to the party. I'm not sure how much practice they've done, but I'm sure that corner, turn 6, is going to be one to be a holder of. Turn 7, a right-hander leading on to the back straight, which is the fastest, the longest straight on this circuit. Crucial for strong run, slipstreaming, and getting the draft to see if he can make any potential overtakes stick. Turn 8 is up next, and that is Brundle. Fast left-hander at the end of the straight. Braking zone here is a hot spot for late braking maneuvers as well, so definitely somewhere that we're going to see some overtakes coming to fruition. In turns 9 by Nelson is a quick right-hander following Brundle. Precision is key to maintaining speed through this section, and you will see a lot of trail braking, especially there by turn 9 into turn 10. A unique slightly banked right-hander. Drivers can carry significant speed, but balance is crucial there as they head up to turns 11. A sweeping right-hander into turn 12 to reach into the final corner, and that is a very tight left-hander. So right after, and I think that is where we are. No, that's not where we are now. Let me take a quick look. To Estefano, right? No. Alright, so right here as we follow the Raven that is coming around by turn 11 into turn 12 now, the very tight left-hander, and there you go, you see her literally just, no, again, wrong person. Ladies and gentlemen, please excuse my ignorance there. But we will still ride along there with Raven Plummer as she does come around to that section of the track. But we'll continue to monitor nonetheless. But yeah, 12 corners, very tricky from time to time, and a lot to happen in these stages of the race. We've seen a lot of action in the GT3 class in our Assetto Corsa Competizione series, so I'm very excited to see what will come with the Praga Cup here this evening. We have 11 drivers in, 10 drivers, my apologies, with the exception of Mr. Donald and myself, the commentator car. We were hoping for a few more, and I'm assuming we should be getting 1 or 2 extra drivers, but nonetheless, we have a good showcase on the way. We've even gotten some interest from a few of the drivers here, even Estefano making notes that he may even want to join us tomorrow, not tomorrow for the Formula 4, but on the Sunday iRacing series. So that is something that is slowly coming into becoming our flagship race here at the JSRA, because the iRacing platform is just so fun. Not only to watch but to race as well. It does give you a lot of racing and realism at the same time, so definitely looking forward to what will come in the very near future with the revamping of the league. The Caribbean Touring Car Championship finale came to a conclusion last night, and what a battle that was, especially in the last 2 minutes, or last, let me say 20 seconds there, with Mr. Kurt Moss, Rohey Robinson, Jaden Harrison, and it was a Daniel Velez, yes, fighting it out for glory in that final few stages of that race. What an epic showing that was. Hopefully that will carry over to this race this evening. Again, JSRA Team A is only winning by 2 points, and with 2 rounds remaining, anything can happen. Only time will tell. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have 10 minutes remaining in practice. We'll take a brief we'll hear a brief statement from our sponsors, Ceramic Hair and Emmanuel Boutique, and I am very excited and happy to have them on board, and we will be excited to discuss with them for the future what is to be holding with them and the collaboration between Ceramic Hair, Emmanuel Boutique, and the JSRA, and anybody else who is interested in coming on board. As we see Raven Plummer, they're coming around the final corner. Ladies and gentlemen, a very brief intermission.
You've seen almost exponentially more contact between these rivals than in the first race. Had or brand new sponsor Ceramic Hair been a part of this competition, they'd have been getting quite the work order.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. As we stated yesterday, we do look forward to as much feedback from you guys as possible. We are here to make this showing as great as we possibly can make it, not only for the drivers but also for the viewers. We want the racing to be epic. We are hoping to get more help with the commentary, as well. We are streaming to Mr. Mark's streaming platform, so anybody over there listening right now, please say hello in the chats over by his Twitch channel. But nonetheless, he should be back in action, hopefully, if he has the energy for next week, on the finale of this Chase for Pace series. So definitely excited to have him back in the commentary booth with us. Typically, as always, you guys should be used to hearing Mr. Chat Dillon's voice, but unfortunately he will not be making it today, and the energy will be left up to me, so I'll try my best to keep it as entertaining as possible for you. As I said to the folks last night, I am feeling a little bit under the weather. I'm not sure if you can hear it in my voice, but nonetheless I will try. Not like I had a choice last night, but I will try to give as much excitement to the battles as possible, because trust me, especially last night, I lost my voice twice. So definitely something to look forward to in these stages of the race. Again, 40 minutes to come. 50 minutes of qualifying is up next after the next 6 minutes of practice, and then a 40-minute sprint race, high tire degradation. Very much so looking forward to the strategies that are in stake. And we see you guys in the chats. Killing Monster, thank you for being here. And if you are a racer, please feel free to find your way on track. We'd love to see you racing with us here on either the Friday, Saturday, or the Sunday races. But nonetheless, thank you for joining us this evening. Joshua Brady in the chat. I should slap you with a 2x6 if I could, but unfortunately, you will be missing this race this evening. I'm not even sure if you are registered for tonight's race, so we'd have to check that, but it might be too late, my brother. So unfortunately, we will not be blessed with the graces of Mr. Brady Racing this evening, but nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, what a battle is to come in a very next few moments. It's only a minute left in free practice, and then we'll have a shootout in qualifying coming up next 15 minutes of the next hour, and then a 40-minute sprint race plus one lap. I don't know where I got that accent from, but hopefully it won't come back again. And we notice Mr. Charles there connecting and disconnecting from the server. Hopefully he's not having any technical issues. He is somebody that we do definitely look forward to seeing in the races. But there goes the conclusion of the free practice session. So anybody still on a hot lap can finish this lap, and then once they finish, they should be making their way back into the pits. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine what's to come in the next few moments. I am very excited to see the action here at the Snetterton circuit as Jaden Harrison, Raven Plummer comes around to finish her final lap. Jaden Harrison looks like he just retired that car early on the side, maybe just made a mistake here or there, but there is Tim Stahl coming out of his final corner as well. Did not improve, but again, this is not where the time matters. Michael McNamee is the final car that should be on a quote-unquote hot lap, so I'm guessing they will be making their ways to finish this lap and then head back in to start qualifying in the next matter of moments. And again, if you, the fans, have any suggestions on how to improve the product, we are looking forward to it. We want to start pushing that driver of the day and overtake of the day moment that we get in the races. I mean, if we remember last round at the Alton Park circuit, Estefano Barrero with the overtake of the day. What a move by him, sending that move down the inside of the chicane for Mr. Mikhail Charles, who is trying to get into the servo as we speak. But nonetheless, what a battle that was. What a move and maneuver that was, let me say. So very excited to see what is to come in the next few moments. But ladies and gentlemen, free practice is over. We should see the drivers coming into the pits now to move on to the next session. If they haven't done it already, they will be immediately drawn over into the session in a few moments. We need to start having some friendly wagers here, if I do say so myself. I see a piece of Reese's in the chat. Reese's Pieces normally races with us in the Formula 4 Championship, so very excited to see him supporting us in the comments when he doesn't show up on track. But nonetheless, very excited to have him and Joshua Brady as always. But ladies and gentlemen, as we get down into qualifying, please and we will have a brief or momentary break to enjoy the final trailer of the Praga Cup series here at the JSRA, heading into round 3 at the Snetterton circuit. And we're back, and the drivers are already making their way out, saying, "No, sorry, I'm going to be the first out to make sure that I get my time stamped." Again, the championship standings are separated by 2 points, so we can expect to see these drivers fighting it out during this race. But there goes somebody. Was that Kurt Moss? And somebody from Nova Racing maybe getting themselves into a little tangle there. Not sure what had happened, but nonetheless, we'll be moving on. Qualifying has just begun. 14.5 minutes remaining, and what is to come of this next qualifying session? Tim Style does lead the pack, followed by Daniel Velez, followed by Raven Plummer, followed by Javier Salazar, followed by Kurt Moss, and then Kimani Eastman, then Roger Keller, then Estefano Barrero heading up behind them. So right now it is JSRA Team A, Nova Racing, JSRA Team A, Nova Racing, and JSRA Team A, one after the other. And then Nova Racing and JSRA Team A again, all the few on track at the moment. So we continue to watch on board as these drivers tackle the next 15 minutes, 14 minutes, let's say. And ladies and gentlemen, if my voice does get monotonous, please feel free to invite one of the persons in the commentary booth, like Mr. Joshua Brady, to come and join me here in the commentary booth to kind of give a little bit of excitement and maybe a little bit of commentator's curse here or there. But as we say that, here goes Tim Style heading down the Senna straight. That fastest lap is not indicative of the fastest or the real fastest lap, as that was an out lap, but nonetheless, Tim Style now coming out of turn 1 into the very heavy braking zone, the hairpin by turn 2. You should see them understeer a little bit there, head all the way down into the fast left-hander by turn 3. Hugs that inside curb and hugs the outside curb, goes and goes into turn 4 by Agostini. And this is another hairpin corner, one of the trickier corners here as well, somewhere that you will see the driver was really trying to utilize as much of the track, especially on the exit there, maybe using a little bit too much. There was Tim Style, but here is he coming by turn 5 into turn 6. Now this is the part of the track that can fool persons into going a little bit too wide if you're not used to it. So definitely somebody to watch, or somewhere to watch and look out for. But there was Tim Style looking very clean there, and setting a very good first sector with a 35.872 as he comes around to hit the second sector with a 30, I think that's a 38.592. So looking very good, but as the commentator's curse goes, did look very swirly there coming out of Brundle into turn 9. Now goes around by turn 10 by the bomb hole, and now we'll have that long sweeping right hander into turn 11, into turn 12. This very tight left-hander. We'll see how he goes. You can use a green, but especially in this car, maybe not the best move. But as it stands, he is looking very promising to set a time of a 151.855. Again, he's been the only driver here in the 151s. Daniel Velez follows with a 153.623. Javier Salazar is the next one up to pass the line, and he comes around with a 154.7. Kurt Moss there, he did lose it. Cannot blame the commentator there, because I came after the fact, Mr. Joshua Brady. I know you must be saying something in your brain, but nonetheless, Estefano Barrera is the next up, comes around the last corner and heads down the final straight by the center straight to see where he can place himself after his first lap. He wasn't the fastest, but will be looking to go in the top 3 as he is a 152.983. Raven Plummer with a 152.592. So as it stands, the first row is being monitored by JSRA Team A, and the second row is second row and the next position down is being held by Nova Racing. So we will definitely see these times start to fall a little bit more and more as the series goes along. But as it stands, Estefana has the fastest purple sector 3. Tim Stahl obviously with the fastest sector 1, and is looking to improve on his sector 2 now by a good 2/10. Doesn't look that strong in the first sector, unfortunately, however. And that's 900ths up on his current time, but 2/10 up on his personal best as it stands. So let's see where he comes around as he comes right around the Morris corner onto the center straight. And will he be improving? I believe he should be. And there he goes, 2/10 up with a 151.645. So he was the one that is going to be named the Sandman of this evening. He didn't have the best race last race, finding himself in a collision with Estefano Barrera, and clearly that messed up his race for him, relegating him to, I think, either P6 or P5. Jaden Harrison there, though, well, thank God I'm now noticing him in the 152.857, and will be trying his best to improve again. He had a very late dive into that top podium step last night at the Mount Panorama circuit in the Caribbean Touring Car Championship. So definitely somebody to look out for. But as I said, the only person close to the 51s other than Tim was Estefano. So we'll continue to monitor and see where Jaden Harrison comes out. In this mix, I'm noticing you guys in the chat, and yes, I do believe Joshua Brady should be joining me in commentary very soon. I might just bring him on board actually for the balance of this qualifying session, and that will definitely get a little bit of excitement and entertainment here. He can't be showcasing his talent on track, so he'll be sitting his bottom here with me in the commentary room. Nonetheless, Jaden Harrison there, 2/10 up on the fastest sector 2, and he rallies around this very fast right-hander, the sweeping right-hander by turns 9, 10, and 11 as he comes around by turn 11 here into turn 12, looking very good. Does look very skirmish there, but you know Jaden Harrison likes to push that car to the very limit. Will this be his pole lap as he comes careening down the start-finish stretch? And that does not look like he will be... no. So he did improve on his time, but the sector 3 was bad, especially by turns 12. That looked very suspect, if I do say so myself. So clearly found himself in some mistakes there this evening. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, we have 7 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. So much more action to come. And as it stands, I believe Joshua Brady will be joining us sooner than later. Let me see if I can get him on board.
Scary time.
And ladies and gentlemen, as you just heard the voice of the man himself, Mr. Joshua Brady. Unfortunately not on track, but will be here with us in the commentary booth. Joshua, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
What's poppin', Slim? Whoa, and there goes Jaden Harrison into the wall there. 5.5 minutes. I will definitely not take the blame there again on that commentary, on that commentator's curse, but nonetheless, we've seen Mr. Kurt Masno in the 151.937. Josh, what have you seen so far? I know you're just coming, so sorry to put you on the spot like that.
So far, I'm seeing that we have not seen a quali lap from all our qualifiers. What's going on with Mr. Charles and Mr. Eastman?
Well, let's speak up the devil and heel up here.
Well, there we go.
There goes Mr. Mikhail Charles there with a 155, and then Kimani Eastman there with a 156. But clearly, we need to stay off of these guys when they're on a good lap, because their purple sectors are finding themselves into the corners or into the walls or into the grass as the race ensues, or the qualifying ensues, let's say.
Yeah, and this track is all about trying to carry speed, and you just see everyone trying that little bit too much to carry that little extra to the corner, but it just keeps biting them.
And I'm hearing that we may need to turn up your volume in the chat, not yours, but whatever is going on here. But I've made my adjustments, so we look forward to the feedback in the chat for Joshua Brady's mic volume. But nonetheless, yes, as you said earlier, carrying the speed here is crucial. I think there's only, let's say, 3 real heavy braking zones by turn 2, turn 7, and there goes Estefano. I'm sorry, I'm genuinely going to come off of these guys point of view, so let's just start talking about ourselves now, Mr. Brady.
No, that one wasn't your fault.
Is Joshua any better?
I would hope so.
Alright.
Man, after all this practice, these guys are still dropping like flies out there. Just shows how hard this car is to drive.
Trust me, and I know it's not your favorite, but nonetheless, it's such a technical car. I mean, you could even give us some of your thoughts from as Mr. Eastman disconnects from the server, but I'm sure we'll be back sooner than later. You could give us your thoughts on this car. I'm not sure if you even got to practice it on the track.
On this specific track, I've done a couple laps, but not for this race here, so I don't know about the conditions, but yeah, it's really difficult. It's all about the perfect braking. You have to get it really precise, and the car itself is just, I'm pretty sure they're like developed in Slovakia. They're really small, they're finicky, they're hard to drive, so
And then
it's gonna be interesting to watch them.
And then with no ABS, no traction, I mean, and to even add a little bit of added drama to the race, we've added 150 100% tire degradation for the drivers to battle with for the 40 minutes. So there is no mandatory pit. So it's legitimately up to you. If you decide that, hey, it's time for me to pit, then that's when you're going to hope that you can find the pace. We've seen Tim Stahl there in round one it was a very unusual move, but he went for the pit and it costed him dearly. So I'm going to assume, Mr. Brady, that we won't see any pit stops this evening unless it's for damage.
Yeah, but even if it is for damage, let's say it's somebody that was in the front and they drop back, that the fresh tires are a big advantage over those old ones towards the end of the race, even if it is just fighting for the scraps at the end.
And there goes Jaden Harrison into P3, but yep, you're right. And you know, damage plus tires, bad tires might just prove worse for wear. So yeah, you have a very good point. Maybe it is best that you just take that dive and jump into the pits as quickly as possible. I know Tim was beating himself up after that one, and clearly you can see him kind of stamping his dominance is the German. And there goes, who was that? Luis Daniel Velez. Jaden having to take some evasive action there to stay out of the way of him, but 4/10 up in sector one.
It didn't bother him at all.
I mean, that is ridiculous. That would be closer to the... Well, let me shut up, yeah, Mr. Brady, before you cuss me off tonight. But that would be closer to the 50s than anything else if he can keep up this pace. But hopefully, I have not just cursed the young man on his sprint today. Whoa-yoy. To the start-finish line.
He's still going at it. Little bias for my former DAU teammate, but I guess it wasn't enough.
And that's with 8 seconds remaining, so even if he is to start a new lap, it wouldn't be valid. So as it stands, the top 3 are on, or will unfortunately not be setting another lap, and Estefana, as he comes around the final corner, 2/10 down in sector 2, did set a purple sector 1, so we might have a chance of improving, and does improve all the way up into P2 to cap that space off and break that JSRA Team A monotony off the top podium steps. But nonetheless, we have 3 drivers still on the way as we're watching Javier Salazar come around the final corner. Definitely not looking to make his imprint on the top 3, but maybe in the few ahead of him. Is that a possibility? No, with a 154.080, Roger Keller should be out of this running. Well, no, this is him now coming around the final, but with 9 seconds in sector 1, that is definitely out of his run. So the final person to watch is your race director, or your crew chief, let me say, for the DAU championship, Mr. Kimani Eastman, locking up his tires there into turns 9 and then 10. Will he be able to improve, because his time at the moment is not very promising, but he is, as I'm seeing on the timing sheets, about 6/10 up on his personal best, so hopefully that would put him at least in the top 10. And as we speak, there he goes careening. So that being said, sorry, yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, sometimes even if you can't get the lap out, the extra practice at the end of quali really does help, because it puts you in a high stress situation and you get to see what you're really made of in those times. So even if you make a couple mistakes, it's not the end. You always have the race to really pick up on those positions.
Fair enough. He does have his typical fighting mate, Mr. Roger Keller, up 2 persons ahead of him. Mikhail Charles did not get to any practice today, so I'm guessing he used the qualifying as his practice session. Typically want to find more race pace than a qualifying pace, so we'll definitely look forward to seeing what he can do there. But yeah, what are your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen in this race? Are we going to have a friendly wager on who will win, who will have overtake of the day, driver of the day? All things are up for grabs.
You know, I see JSRA doing very well here, but I also see a lot of fighting happening in that top six. So we're gonna have to see how this is gonna be a very interesting and fun to watch race. That's for sure.
I mean, what I'm making note of is P1, P3, P4, P5 are all JSRA Team A, Racing Team A members. So I know P6, Luis Daniel Villa is somebody, again, maybe not the best with qualifying, but has that race pace to really stomp some form of dominance here. So we'll watch him as he goes through, maybe tries to pick through the field, but I'm sure, especially between P3 to 5, they will be trying to kind of gang up on Estefano in the early stages of the race to maybe either give Tim that runaway to get away and secure that P1 position, or possibly even, just hold up the pack from behind them, because as it stands, this will just bear fruit for them.
Yeah, try as they may, that Estefano guy's pretty fast.
Yeah, no.
A bit.
Last week we did see the roles were reversed, where Estefano was in P1 and Tim was in P2, and unfortunately, well, Tim did have the pace and was running down the Colombian. Unfortunately, had a slight lockup and ended up hitting into him, and the two crashed out, giving P1 and P2 to the JSR Racing team of Jaden Harrison and Raven Plum, I believe. But Stefano now falling back all the way up into second to last, if I remember correctly. Fought his way up, got overtake of the day, and made himself all the way into P3 of that race. So definitely somebody I'm looking forward to enjoying this racing, especially how he's going to have to strategize with the plethora of Jamaicans or Jamaican team members and Raven Plummer of the United States surrounding him like sharks. But that being said, Tim Stahl does take pole position with a 151.624. As you can see, this looks menacing. But Tim Stahl in P1, Estefano in P2.
It does look promising for us, but anything is
Anything
possible.
can happen. Estefano is in P2, Kurt Moss is in P3, Jaden Harrison in P4, Raven Plummer in P5, Luis Daniel Velez in P6. Just switching the camera there quickly. Michael McNamee in P7, Javier Salazar in P8, Roger Keller of Switzerland in P9, Mikhail Charles in P10, Kimani Eastman in P11 to round out the final drivers here this evening. Any final remarks here as unfortunately, we will not be having a physical safety car, but we'll have a virtual safety car lead the cars around. Any thoughts before the race begins?
Well, as a driver, all I'm thinking of is who's gonna get their tires warmed up the best in this outlap. This is a really important time for the drivers right now, even though it just seems like all the time for your nerves to get out. You're going slow, putt-putting around the track. It's really important to get yourself set up for the rest of the race.
Definitely, and especially with a car like this, where tire temperatures are crucial. The temperatures don't look too dramatic. 19 degrees Celsius ambient, 26 degrees track temperature. So I'm assuming tire deg won't be that bad, but nonetheless, with 150%, who am I to speak? I definitely would not be one of the first person to jump up and drive in one of these, but I am definitely the first to set it up for you guys to enjoy. But as we have 6 lights on the board, we will not go racing right away. Please be reminded, we will have the drivers go around for a rolling start.
And no one jumped.
Alright, there they go. I did mention in the driver briefing that there would be no physical safety car, so hopefully they will. Well, yeah, it seems they've all picked and realized what's happening. But there goes Estefano Barrero, the one we'll be watching, and that menacingly colored red, blue, and yellow Nova Racing Praga Cup car. Definitely one fish in a plethora of green, black, and yellow, green, gold, and yellow. So we'll definitely watch to see. And then his teammate there in the background coming around by turn 2 into turn 3. Now they come. But Josh, I am excited. My goosebumps are showing. I feel like you should take the race start.
Of course, these races are always exciting. Love looking for those little battles, especially at the start. I feel like I'm a pretty good starter, so I like seeing these people start from the back and really chop their way up to the front.
Definitely. So as we said, we have Tim Stahl in P1 of Germany, Estefano Barrero of Colombia in P2, Kurt Moss of Jamaica in P3, Jaden Harrison of Jamaica in P4, Raven Plum of the United States of America in P5, Luis Daniel Velez in P6 of Colombia, Michael McNamee of Jamaica in P7, Javier Salazar in P8 of Colombia, Roger Keller of the Switzerland nation in P9, Mikhail Charles of the Trinidad and Tobago and in P10, and Kimani Eastman to round out the top in P11. We have black flag conditions, which means double line racing, double lane, double file lining up will commence. My apologies. Josh, take it away, brother.
Yes, sir. We're all bunched up. We're looking good. Excited to go green. Let's see how everyone takes this start. I think we have 3 more corners to go, so everyone's really just managing and figuring out their gaps to the next car, trying not to get too choked up in this chaotic start. It doesn't matter how many starts you do, they're all crazy. You never get used to it. It never gets old. I'm excited to see how they're gonna carve up through here, though.
As we come around the final few corners, though, any late predictions, Mr. Joshua Brady?
I think don't count out those very brightly colored yellow, blue, and red cars. I think they're gonna pull together, try to get a little slipstream down the straightaway, but we'll see how this goes.
And that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're moments away. Joshua Brady, the lights are up and the speed limit is now set to 81. Red flag racing, you have the podium.
Yes, sir. We're ready to go. We're almost green. Green, green, green. Let's see how everyone starts up. Everyone's stacking up pretty nice. I see a nice jump for Mr. Barrera. Oh, yep, he's got the outside. Ooh, just barely not able to hang on. Everyone seems to be a little racy, but neat and tidy so far. No incidents. It's looking serious. Ah! It always has to be one. It's an unfortunate spin from this plumber.
Ouchie, ouchie, ouchie. I'm going to assume that might be a safety car because that was 3 or more cars. So that will give them enough time. But I was about to say, Jaden Harrison made his way up and was definitely trying his move on Estefano in the early stages. So maybe Raven coming around didn't expect the cars to be that close and just maybe put a little bit of extra power there. And Mikhail Charles Mikhail Charles being the biggest winner, moving from P10 all the way to P5 here. So even though Raven Plummer of JSRA Team A is out, Mikhail Charles finds himself very swiftly up into the top 5 ahead of the Colombian Mr. Daniel Velez, who started P6 and is currently in P6. Estefano Barrera and Tim. Estefano looked like he was trying to make a move very quickly there on Tim Stahl. I'm sure they will be trying their best to make a move here on the restart, but nonetheless he is playing his mind games as they head around. What a start. Raven Plummer being the biggest loser out of them all right now. Kimani Eastman unfortunately did not make up even one position.
Yeah, but Kimani's the type to drive very conservatively at the start, and it's for good reason. Someone like Raven could have done really, really well, but it's just those little split-second judgment calls that can really make or break your race.
Josh, it seems as if we've gone racing already, and there goes Tim into the rear of Estefano Barrera.
Just like that, the front of the race is looking pretty Jamaican.
Yeah, no, it's looking very dramatic here, but not sure why the race started there. But nonetheless, racing has commenced, ladies and gentlemen. We're seeing drivers just off the track.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fight against the car and the track in this race. It's not just one or the other.
Well, we saw it last week. Estefana and Tim found themselves in an incident, and Estefana fought his way back all the way to the top of the step. Will we see a repeat of that this evening? Jaden Harrison is 3/10 off his teammate. Not sure if they'll be fighting or just holding suit. Comfortable that this is where they need to be, or maybe they'll just get bored and start hashing it out in the latter stages. Who will know? But as it stands, Estefano Barrera in P5, Tim Stahl in P1, Jaden Harrison in P2, Mikhail Charles from P10 to P5, now in P3. This guy is just a hero amongst heroes, man.
Those are the stories we love to see. Just starting, being really aggressive at the race start, just staying out of trouble, trying to make those little positions wherever you can, being aggressive where everyone else is being cautious. Just the perfect success story.
And
hope he can keep it though.
Knowing Mikhail Charles, he's literally just giggling the whole time, like, what's happening? he's typically just one of those drivers that just kind of goes with the flow more than anything else. As much as you want drivers putting in all their time to practice, or as much time to practice as they can, the lightheartedness, wow, of some of these drivers, and still the seriousness of what they bring, just does bring some warmth to my heart. So we'll continue to monitor Mr. Charles there, currently sitting on the final podium step being hunted by his teammate Mr. Kurt Moss, and Estefano there only a second off of the few ahead of him. So we'll continue to monitor that gap.
Yeah, Mr. Barrera is going quite quick, I will not lie. I didn't think he was going to catch up to that front pack so quickly.
He was about a second. I think he was only 2/10 slower than Mr. Moss ahead of him. But Mr. Moss has already made the move stick on Mr. Charles. When did that happen? My apologies, I was not paying attention. So now next up on the chopping block for Mr. Barrera is Mr. Mikhail Charles, the Trinidadian. So again, these two were the ones that they had the overtake of the day in the Alton Park circuit. So we'll definitely watch for that pause, Mr. Nathan. Nonetheless, we'll continue to watch as the drivers fight it out. But 4/10 is the gap between himself and Mikhail Charles. Mikhail Charles is only 8/10 off of Kurt Moss, and Kurt Moss is only 3/10 off of Jaden Harrison. So the top step of the podium is still very much so up for grabs, Mr. Brady.
Yeah, Mr. Mikhail here is definitely about to get chopped quite soon. And this is going to be an interesting move to make, because he's going to be using all the slipstream he can muster and just trying to get him on the brakes.
And this is as he squeezes him to the outside, but no, leaves him just enough space. But there goes Estefano. Beautiful. But they're going still side by side as they head around this fast sweeping right hander, and the two are going at it.
Yeah.
Was that
no
contact?
way to make that stick. Yeah, for sure. There was no way to go too wide there. But it was a good try for both of them.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, that is racing, in my opinion. I'm sure we'll hear a lot from them in the commentators' booth. But there goes Mikhail Charles now sitting right in front of the next Colombian in P8. And Raven Plummer, who was the biggest loser in the start of this race, has now taken back that position from her teammate, Mr. Charles there, who just got a stop and go 10 seconds for speeding.
That's a bit unfair. He just crossed through the entry because he went off track, but we'll see if we can get that sorted post-race.
Yeah, unfortunately, and that's our issue here with Assetto Corsa. When you get those penalties, you have to take them or you would just be automatically disqualified. I wish it was just a time penalty, but that's going to derail his race completely. I'm hoping that he'll hopefully get a safety car at this point. Who knows? That's up to the race director, and if there's a collision of three or more cars.
Yeah,
But
it's unfortunate, but with our new recent moves to iRacing, these problems will be of the past.
which reminds me, Mr. Brady, will we be seeing you tomorrow afternoon for round 5 of the Tsukuba circuit in the Formula 4 Championship? Yes, I'm putting you up on the spot again.
Of course, I'm ready. I love that series and I love that simulator. You can't get me off of it.
Well, definitely looking forward to seeing you on track, brother, as we have the final 2 rounds on the way. I see the race director now saying do not call down any safety cars on his race, so my apologies, Mr. Race Director, but nonetheless.
Oh, Mr. Barrera just went off a little bit. Let's see if that affected his time.
153.4 was Kurt Moss, 154.1 was Estefano. So yep, definitely lost out some time there in the final corner. Now 3 seconds, the gap was about 2.7, 2.6, so did lose a couple tenths there, but Jaden Harrison still on the hunt for his teammate. What I'm assuming is happening here though, Mr. Brady, is these drivers are more not trying to fight themselves and, you know, draw the Colombian narrow, but maybe just pulling each other along. I'm hoping is the strategy, as the top 3 are from JSRA Team A, and then the next up is the Colombian. But there is Mikhail Charles taking his stop and go. So unfortunate for him there, man. Really sad to see him go, especially with the race that he had on the way.
Mr. President and team captain, I love your wishful thinking with that top 3.
Ooh.
Absolutely not. They're sending it. They're trying their absolute best to get in front of each other, and it's very, very entertaining.
Well, let's see. Let's continue to watch that gap, because that gap has stayed between 3/10 to 6. So we will definitely be watching that. And yes, I am 100% unbiased. Believe that if you may or may not, but nonetheless, again, I'm just saying a black, green and gold car finishing in the top 3 will definitely make my day a little bit happier than any other, but nonetheless still very much so unbiased. Please take my word for that one. Again, our friends out there in Colombia at Noble Racing are very good friends of mine, and I am so appreciative of them to come back every single week. And they come in just like our own brothers here. Tim Styles setting the fastest lap of the race so far with a 153.285. But yeah, ooh, who was that? That was Tim Styles. That was a race leader.
Yeah.
Unfortunate there for him, and that promotes Mr. Barrero into P3. And will now be trying to see if he can maybe take that spot off of the 2 ahead of them in front, the 2 Jamaicans. And Raven Plummer is now in P4, so she started what, P5, and now made her way all the way back up from last place into P4. Joshua Brady, I think we can confidently say this was not a commentator's curse, but just some unluckiness, maybe.
Yeah, and funny enough, it seems that her and Mikhail have pretty much switched places. He's back to the back, and she's back where she belongs, right back up in the front.
There you go. As you said earlier, Josh, they are sending it. And there is Luis Daniel Velez now coming up on the solo driver, Mr. Michael McNamee, and we'll be definitely trying to score some points off of him there. Tim Stahl now does have another Colombian on the rear of his motor vehicle, because you Jamaicans are so quick to catch people off guard. But nonetheless, Javier Salazar will be hunting down the German in these stages, but Tim clearly has the pace to go. Not sure if he would have damaged his tires or maybe the aero on these cars, because we do know that these are aero dominant cars. So we'll monitor his gap and his time to see how well he's doing and if we'll see him jump in for a pit stop. But at this point, it would not be recommended in my opinion. But there goes Jaden Harrison with the fastest lap of his race with a 153.448. I believe Tim Stahl did a 153.2 a few laps before. So we'll continue to watch that. Yeah.
I'm seeing a lot of fastest laps, and I'm wondering how long they're going to be able to keep this up before these tires start to fall off.
Yeah, no, again, with 24 minutes remaining, I mean, the only good thing is the fuel is running down on the cars, so you know the degradation won't be as hard as the race goes. Sorry, it won't be as demanding as the race goes along, but nonetheless, with 23 minutes remaining and setting fastest lap after fastest lap, and it's not like they're very far from the qualifying pace, as qualifying pace was 151 high. 153s is still a relatively quick pace in my opinion with a high fuel load. So no, you have a good point. We'll continue to monitor, maybe at this point with a 4-second gap to Estefano. Kurt and Jaden should be, and that's the operative word, should be maybe doing some form of time management, but as you said, they are sending it.
Yeah, those two definitely want to be in front of each other.
And I mean, we saw a little bit of this action last night in the Caribbean Touring Car Championship, but nonetheless, they were not on team last night. They are on team tonight. So I'm going to assume, as Kurt there locking his brakes, I actually clenched my fist a little bit there, getting a little bit nervous as he was just approaching the rear end of that Praga in front of him very swiftly. And there it goes, 153 flat is the new fastest lap of the race. These guys are gunning it.
I think to your delight, Kurt will actually be playing the team game and minding his business, so to speak. Just trying to stay behind Jaden, stay in the slipstream, and get free pace without killing his tires too much. But he also just set the fastest lap, so I'm
That's about to say.
excited.
Player of 2/10 as well. However, and I mean, he's your teammate in the Formula 4 Championship, but something I've noticed of Mr. Massive is he does love pack racing, but there he goes, locking those tires again. So is he feeling those effects? Maybe been pushing the car a little bit too hard. We'll only see in the latter stages, but that 4.4 second gap has now dropped to 4.1 between himself and Estefano Barrera. So we'll continue to watch that, but yeah, as I was saying, he loves pack racing. So in his other series that we've noticed, when we watch his streams, like if he knows that the person ahead of him is faster or on the same pace, he will literally bump draft that driver. Obviously, you can't bump draft in these cars, but he will push that driver to move and get away from the cars behind. And then in the latter stages, like let's say the last 5 minutes, is where you see him mount an attack when they know that they're comfortable enough that if there's a slight mistake, we won't get too desperate. We can see if we can fight each other and see if we can switch a position here or there. But nonetheless, that gap has been stretched to about a second. So is he feeling the effects, Joshua Brady?
I'm curious if aero wash is a thing and he was overheating his tires when he was. Oh nope, Jaden got faster. That's the only. All we had to know.
Kurt was only 3/10 slow on his previous fastest lap, and Jaden Harrison was a full 3/10 faster on the original fastest lap of the race. So with a 152.7 versus a 153.3, I think we can see where that gap went down.
Gotta start giving that kid some ballast.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something we'll be looking forward to in the next few stages of the Caribbean Touring Car Championship. But as we've been watching the top three, look at the sandwich of Michael McNamee, Luis Daniel Velez, and Tim Stahl. The three Praga cars, two Jamaicans. Tim Stahl taking a look there, looking very desperate on the inside, but going very defensive is Daniel Velez, and Michael McNamee, again, being as defensive as he can be and just trying to get away, but he's held his position for quite some time here, Josh.
Yeah, Velez was brave there to hold Mr. Stahl 2 tires on the grass and 2 tires on the track. That's just asking for an incident. I don't know. He's brave. Personally, I would have backed out and let him have it.
But who is braver, the one defending it or the one making the move?
The one defending it for sure. Personally, I always think that if the move is there, I'm gonna go for it. As the person letting or not letting the move exist, you just got to be paying attention, and you got to know when to just give it up.
Fair enough, but I mean, at this point now, I'm sure anything to have come from that, you would have definitely seen him reporting something in the stewarding room, because my guy went 2 tires off the track to try and see if he can mount an attack, and he's literally just pushing that Colombian around the track now, and this is leading up to the first official overtaking opportunity. We might see a switcheroo here leading up Mr. Brady, as the two go side by side into turn 1, and right around the outside goes Tim Stahl on Luis Daniel Velez. Luis Daniel Velez now dropping back to P7, and the two are still side by side, and as they head into turn 2, is a switcheroo allowed? No, he cannot. And again, maintaining the speed through turn 2 on the exit is priority in order to make sure that you can get the best exit leading up into turn 4 into 5. So we'll continue to watch this battle, but wow, Joshy Brady.
Mr. Stahl is getting to podium by the end of this race. Just that, mark my words. That's the bet I'm putting out there.
That's the bet you're putting out. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard it here first. Joshua Brady has promised me his Toyota BRZ, his Subaru BRZ. If Mr. Tim Stahl makes it, doesn't make it to the podium, then I will be gifted a red BRZ. But nonetheless, definitely something to look forward to in the next few stages. Will he be able to close that gap? He has about 12. About 12.
A lot.
Yeah, but I'm gonna count him out for the podium step for this evening. But again, hey, who knows? His pace is remarkable here, but the gap just seems insurmountable. But hey, that's your bet. I'll definitely accept that car in a heartbeat.
Don't know where the car came from, but you know, happens sometimes. You can drive it, that's for sure.
And as we've been paying attention here, the fight for P1 is apparently right back on, because fastest lap has been swapped again. But there goes Mr. Tim Stahl swooping around the outside of Michael McNamee. We know Michael is a very aggressive defender, so let's watch what happens there. But he does seem to make the move stick and does close the door from the Colombian. So the Colombian of Luis Daniel Velez does not look like he will be benefiting. But the two, they are literally inches from their the front to the rear bumper. We'll continue to monitor this gap. But the Colombian now of Luis Daniel Velez is just trying his hardest to get around these guys and see where he can make back a position. Where did he start? If I remember correctly, it was P5. Or P6. P6.
I think it was further down, yeah, probably.
It was P6, right. So I know he at least wants to be promoted, but there he goes. Was that contact?
It looked like it to me, but I couldn't tell if it was just internet.
Slidey, maybe. But yeah, I was saying earlier that Mr. Kurt Moss did take back that fastest lap with a 152.6. and had closed the gap to Mr. Harrison ahead of him to 3/10 under 2/10 actually. But that gap has been spread right back up to 7/10. So again, that gap between Estefano and Kurt Moss is now 6 seconds. So I think at this point it looks like it is just fight it out, keep that gap steady and fight it out at the latter stages is Mr. Massive and Mr. Harrison. It seems, getting feedback from the race director, that was contact that we saw between Daniel and Michael McNamee. So not sure if there's damage to his car, but there goes Mr. McNamee. Very poor exit now coming into the center straight, so we'll continue to monitor the slipstream here. Will there be a late dive?
No way he goes for it. I don't think he has enough. Yeah, that would have been really risky if he did.
Let's see as they head into turn 2, and it slightly covers the inside line is Mr. McNamee, and does go very slidey on the exit, so his car definitely feeling the effects more than the others around him based on what I'm seeing, because he's locking up and he's very twitchy. So we'll continue to monitor.
He is on a flight stick.
He is on a plastic. You have a very good point there.
I feel like I need to mention that for everyone watching. This man, Mr. Michael McNamee, is on a flight stick. He doesn't use a racing wheel. He uses a flight stick, and he whoops half of us most of the time, and it's extremely frustrating.
I mean, even to bring some light to the situation, he got his first podium in the debut at the Formula 1 circuit in VIR, so he does love high downforce cars, so these are the ones that he will be excelling in. But he did put some pressure there on Mr. Ian Lance there for that P2 position. Unfortunately could not take that P2 position away, but nonetheless that was a battle between himself and the Cayman Island driver. But nonetheless, and I think you and him had some falling out, at some, not falling out, but some civil disputes in the chat. And there goes Michael McNamee as the commentator's curse comes, and I'm blaming that one fully on Mr. Joshua Brady starting that conversation. What do you have to say for yourself, brethren?
Honestly, that one hurt. I've never been on this side of it, and I didn't like that at all.
Oh my word.
Not Mr. Harrison.
Ooh. And there goes
was a horrible
Jaden.
rejoin.
Yes, and we saw that here live, so I'm sure there will be no dispute there from the steward's report at the end of this race. But as it stands now, Estefano will have front wing damage, and Raven Plummer is only a second behind. And you know, you said it, you said it, you said it. Tim Stahl is only 6.7 seconds away from the best of the rest. Let's say 7 seconds away from the podium. So we will continue. Minus the damage. So we'll continue to monitor, especially with what is going to happen in the next 12 minutes. Oh my word, were you correct, Mr. Brady?
That's honestly that was a very unforeseen turn of events, but that's racing. It sucks to see when you have someone like
Ooh! Was that Jaden Harrison again? What happened?
that one had to be his wheel or something. That was really random.
That was random.
Yeah, and it sucks to see something like that so late in the race, because you've already put in so much effort. You're tired at this point. You're really just cranking in the laps. You're focused, and a little mistake like that, a small lapse of concentration, can really just end your night.
Yeah, that is unfortunate there for Jaden Harrison, and you're right, as you see him just creeping around. Not sure if the damage is just too much for him there. Maybe having the steering wheel sideways is going to be his. Yup, there it goes. Yeah. So he's fighting to keep that car straight, so we should be seeing him enter into the pits. And again, ladies and gentlemen, he is on a direct drive wheel, so you must know that. Ouch! What? Roger Kello?
Yeah, no, he shouldn't have even been there.
That one was a little bit unusual.
Yeah, that was odd. Unnecessary and odd.
Unnecessary and odd it is. But there goes Jaden Harrison, literally just limping his way to the pits, and his race is done. He will see his countryman Kimani Eastman come around and pass him, and even his rival there, his friend and good friend Mr. Mikhail Charles, who did have an early pit stop as a pass. A very attractive Porsche 991 Turbo S safety car, I'm just saying, is a very beautiful car. But that looks like retirement for Mr. Harrison. Unfortunate for him here, as he would be trying to manage and gain as many points as possible. But that, ladies and gentlemen,
There goes
ladies
Raven.
and gentlemen,
I wonder what happened there though, because the gap was about 6 seconds, not even 15 seconds ago. So
and I'm
Raven
not
was sadly.
noticing any damage either.
Yeah, must have just been a spin. But
But
that's easy to happen in a car like this, and that's what I've been saying. It's really a fight between the track and the car, because the track is super technical, lots of fast flowing corners, but also really, really slow hairpins. So it's hard to make it's hard to make a setup for the car to match this track. And then even worse, the car itself is just really snappy and the wheelbase is short. It's just it's a hard race for these guys and Raven.
And as you speak of that, again, I mean, as happy as I am to see at least two drivers on the podium from JSRA Team A, Tim Stahl there now setting a 152.6 to take back that fastest lap from Mr. Kurt Moss. He does not have the gap to go in for some softs at the end of this race and move for that to take back that extra point. But nonetheless, fortunately but unfortunately, I will not be receiving that BRZ, as Mr. Tim Stahl is on the podium, ladies and gentlemen. After sitting there in P1, had to fight his way through, and with a lot of luck and blessings, he does find himself right back on the podium in P3, 6.5 seconds to the car ahead with 8 minutes remaining. I think you got away with murder there.
It's just the racing. It always happens like that.
The car is not crap. We do have drivers that enjoy the car, so everybody has their own opinions, but nonetheless, it does take a lot of skill and a lot of determination to even try and do something of this feat, especially with 150% tire degradation. So again, hats off to the drivers. Look at how Mr. Massive has just been managing this car for the entirety of this race. I mean, he has not put a foot wrong. I'm hoping that that does not set a commentator's curse on the way, but as it stands, Kurt Moss is sitting very comfortable, 10.2 seconds ahead of Estefano Barrero, and Tim Stahl there now losing out to Raven Plummer. Not
Wonder what happened
sure.
there.
But ladies and gentlemen, again, is the BRZ still up for grabs? Is this something that can maybe still be up? I hear your heart pounding through the mic.
I'm wondering if this is the driver starting to feel the effects of that 100% degradation. Yeah.
Very likely, very likely is that, Mr. Brady, and we'll continue to monitor that. But the gap between Estefano and Raven is now 10 seconds. Estefano started P2 and looks like he will be finishing P2, so I mean, what a drive he's been put on. As it stands, do we have a drive of the day, Mr. Brady?
That's honestly a really hard one. Everyone's had different strengths in different places. It's gonna have to be Estefano for right now.
I would agree. Tim making his way up to the podium, so again, we'll leave that vote to the end of the race. And again, the fans out there, we look forward to your votes and your opinions, where you can give it to us, because we love to hear how we can integrate you guys into the stream and make this even more entertaining for yourselves as well as for us. But we'd love to get your feedback, maybe boost the drivers' egos a little bit more as well. and get a driver of the day, overtake of the day vote going in the chat, or maybe even on our Instagram channel at JSRA official. So definitely something to look into. But with 5.5 minutes remaining plus 1 lap, as it stands, the race has kind of plateaued. So we'll continue to monitor this and see where that stands. But 3, 4, and 5 are now only separated by a mere, let's say, 3 seconds between each other. So we'll watch and see if anything is to come from that.
Tim is carving out this gap.
Are you going to say he's going to take this and get that podium away from Miss Plummer ahead of him?
I didn't say that, but I'm definitely watching it. He's gone from 1.8, I believe, down to 1.1. So it's really just up, and now he's back up to 1.3. It's fluctuating a lot, but we'll see. It's give and take. Every driver they have their preferences of which corners are their strengths and their weaknesses. So it's not, no one's a robot, right? So you can't have it perfect every time. So it's fun to watch the gap increase and decrease and see where their strengths and weaknesses are.
Definitely, and as you spoke, the gap is now going up to a second, and there goes the commentary.
That was your fault.
As I started to speak, though, no, my heart goes out to him, man. But Daniel Velez did close that gap slightly to a 1.2 second gap. So with 4 minutes plus 1 lap, the fight is still on, in my opinion. Especially now is the desperation zone, but on top of that, now is where the drivers are going to be feeling that extra tire deg.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think Velez is gonna get the position, but him just being there is definitely gonna stop Tim Stahl from getting that podium. So I think I might have to retract my statement, just because he'll have to defend or think about defending.
Right.
Even if he's not, just looking in his mirrors will give him something up, and he messed up that run. And just like that, it's looking in your mirrors, just having them there is enough to throw you off, especially
Definitely.
this late in the race.
Especially with the tire degradation as well, because if we remember, Tim Stahl did have a off early in the race, so we are expecting him to have had damage and maybe even some tire wear there with these cars. So maybe he's feeling the effects even more than the likes of Daniel Velez behind him or Raven Plummer ahead of him, so you never know.
After that slide, I think Daniel's feeling it worse.
Fair enough. But the gap is now dwindled to 6/10.
There it goes.
Did Tim just give him that position?
Didn't even fight it. Didn't he? I guess it wasn't worth it to him. And that's fair, because you get points, good points for 5th. And his teammates are way ahead.
Yep. The top 3 from each team will be counted in terms of for points. So, hey, let's see. It's still 2 minutes remaining, but he literally just gifted that one. I'm guessing he's feeling the effects a little bit too much and maybe just said, hey, let me not fight it. But he doesn't look like he's ready to give that position up. So, ladies and gentlemen, do we have a fight here to the finish? Because Tim Stahl doesn't look like he's ready to give up that position, Mr. Brady.
Yeah, I don't think so either. He looks like he wants it back. That might have been a lapse of judgment.
Right now, well, as they come around Bombhole into Karami, into the final turn by turn 12 after Karami here, we will see how close he will be to the rear of that Colombian Praga Cup car there, and does not look like he'll be getting that much of a run. Or did I speak too soon? No. So he will definitely be enjoying the slipstream. Will there be a late dive now? That is left up to him to decide. But as you said earlier, absolutely not. But the dive would be coming right here by turn 2. And he does stick a nose. Daniel did look to try to go defensive, but maybe a little bit too late.
Nope, he's off. He's
and
off.
There he goes.
That was beautiful.
Tim Stahl is now promoted into P4. Daniel Velez relegated into P5. And that fight cut a little bit short, unfortunately, but nonetheless, that does put the German solid into P4 with a promising 3-second gap. to the Colombian behind him, so we'll continue to watch that. But nonetheless, we haven't spoken much about him in quite some time. Mr. Kurt Moss now is rallying around to finish up, and depending on where he finishes, if it continues, he might even, I think he can slow down if he wants to force us a single lap, but I'm going to assume he would not be doing that with the likes of Estefano Barrera right behind him. But 13 seconds, 12 seconds, 10 as he rallies around turn 11 into turn 12 onto the center straight. This is where you might see a little bit of lifting and coasting, and as it stands, yup,
I
it
think
looks,
he'll actually make it.
yeah,
He doesn't even have to lift.
yep. And ladies and gentlemen, this will be the final lap of the race. And unfortunately, what's going on? And we'll tune back to him very soon, but the gap between Daniel and Tim has dwindled again to 1.3 seconds. And nonetheless, Michael McNamee is now on the hunt for Mr. Roger Keller, now putting the moves, seeing if he can see himself ahead of the Swiss driver. But we'll continue to monitor these two. Daniel Velez now 1.3 behind Mr. Tim Stahl. It was 3 seconds. Joshua Brady, what's going on with Tim?
Honestly, at this point, they're definitely just tired. Everyone's all over the place. The tires are probably stuck. The track luckily the track is nice. The track is warm. The track condition is good, but the drivers are probably worn out at this stage. A lot of racing.
Yeah, you have a point. This car is not easy to drive at all. So, yeah, I guess at this point it's just finish up,
Bring it home.
bring it home, gain the points where you can. But even this battle between Michael and Roger Keller seems to be bearing fruit. But there it is, 4/10 is the gap to the driver ahead between Daniel Velez and Tim Stahl. This is the final move that he will have on the German, so we'll continue to watch that. But as we speak, the Jamaican of Mr. Kurt Moss rallies around turns 10 and heads down into turn 11. We'll monitor him until, well, right before he goes over the start finish line to give him his congratulations. But this fight is going to be pushed all the way to the final line, ladies and gentlemen. But we'll just take a brief look. Mr. Kurt Moss, the man, the myth, the legend, a man that misses no race if he cannot and always puts his best foot forward, comes to finish a race in P1 and caps off this evening's race a firm, well, I think it was 15 seconds ahead of his nearest rival, Mr. Estefano Barrero, in P2. Raven Plummer comes around the final corner to finish off in P3, but the battle for P4 is still underway, and it's a drag race down the line, and it doesn't look like he'll have enough time, and Tim Stahl can hold off Daniel Velez for P4 and P5. Javier Salazar in P6 will come around to rally the troops with Roger Keller, Michael McNamee, and Mikhail Charles and Kimani Eastman to follow. Ladies and gentlemen, what a race, what a race, what a race. And we'll continue just to monitor. Will these two find themselves as they come around the final corner? Very twitchy there was Roger Keller, who gets a better run now. Coming out to the final corner, it looked like it could have been Michael McNamee, but not enough.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely not enough.
You need the push to pass. You need to be right on the rear of the car for it to really make a difference. But there goes Roger Keller in P7 and Michael McNamee in P8. Mikhail Charles in P9 comes around the final corner. Unfortunate for him today. Looked very promising, moving from P10 to P5 to P3 back to P9 now. Unfortunate for him, but nonetheless still comes home with some points. And to rally for JSRA Team B is Kimani Eastman. Ladies and gentlemen, what a fight and what a showcase of talent this evening. Joshua Brady, any final thoughts?
What a race, what a race. There was a lot going on. At no point were we sitting here bored. There's always a fight, and that's the good thing about these small tracks and small cars. And especially when the car is difficult to drive, it just makes it equals everyone out.
Definitely. I mean, even with the tire degradation, that just added that extra bit of drama here in the latter stages of the race. So that was very fun to watch, man. But as we see the drivers, Mr. Kurt Moss lining up in P1, Raven Plummer now coming up in P3, and Estefano Barrero in P2. I think we'll get interviews from Kurt and Raven. Unfortunately, Estefano has another race, so we'll be heading to the will not be heading to the commentators booth this evening. But nonetheless, we'll start with Raven Plummer. Josh, you can just take the mantle for a few moments, maybe give a little bit of feedback there to the drivers, and as well, we will just be reminded there, thank you, Mr. Jaden Harrison, that Subaru BRZ should be gifted and washed and cleaned for Mr. El Presidente in the coming weeks. So definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, no problem. I'll have my people reach out to your people. You know, we'll have that
All right, I don't have
chopped
any
up.
people, but you can definitely just reach out to me, brother. But that being said, Mr. Brady, we now have Raven Plummer, P3 finisher of JSRA Racing Team A, in the room here for interviews. Raven, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful race. I mean, you can just walk us through that. It looked like, well, the first safety car was called with something, an incident with you. We didn't get to see it in the commentators booth. Can you walk us through that one?
Absolutely. So I'm not entirely sure what it was on the start. I think I was a little bit slow because Kurt was right in front of me and didn't get the launch off, same way I did. And so going into turn two, someone was on my inside and I gave them plenty of space, but I don't know if they bumped into me or if they got bumped into me or who it was even, but I got my rear quarter panel clipped and I spun out and I collected two others as much as I tried to avoid them. And that put me, what, third to last? Something like that.
Yeah, I think it was second to last actually. You were pretty low.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I remember after that restart, I managed to climb up the ranks a little bit. I don't think everyone got that good of a launch, and I managed to get in front of Estefano. And I think and I got up to maybe like P6, P7, something like that. And it was Kamani up in front of me. And I don't know if he was slowing down to let me pass or slowing down because of cold tires, but he slowed down a little bit earlier than I expected. I barely bumped into him. It was unfortunate. Didn't really upset his race too much, but it allowed Estefano and I believe Luis maybe to get past us.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point it was like, okay, my team strategy has kind of failed, right? Because at that point, all I wanted to do was to prevent them from passing us. And that went out the window immediately. And then after that, it seemed like our team was cursed. Everyone on our team kept spinning out. I saw Jaden. I was looking at him in my mirror, and I saw him spin out on the straight. I don't know what happened.
Not sure what happened there. I'll definitely reach out to him and find out because we were dumbfounded here in the commentary booth trying to figure out what happened.
How were
Yeah,
the
I
tires
don't.
feeling towards the end of it?
The tires were definitely worn, but not unmanageable. Um, It was more an issue of pushing too wide and getting on the curb because then your underbody would scrape and you would lose a lot of control. So the tires they were able to be managed. They weren't too bad of an issue unless you were racing side by side. Then I could absolutely see them being an issue. But it was mostly the curbs that gave us the most trouble. But even then, there were so many of us just losing it on Team A. We were definitely cursed, and I think that one time, I'm gonna check the broadcast because I'm certain y'all gave me the commentator's
No.
curse that one time. I'm gonna call it now before I even look at the broadcast.
I'm 110% confirming that that was Joshua Brady. But
Absolutely
nonetheless,
not.
you definitely don't need to go and check back the broadcast. But nonetheless, what an epic race from your Raven. Josh, you have any other questions?
No, honestly, that was driven amazing. Even from the first lap, just managing to survive that first part and just head down through the restarts. You did amazing. Great job.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
And thank you as always, Raven, for making it when you can. Really appreciative of it and looking forward to you in the future at the JSRA.
Likewise. See y'all next week.
Bless you. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Raven Plummer of JSRA Racing Team A, definitely stamping some form of dominance, but nonetheless, Mr. Kurt Moss, we had him in the commentary booth yesterday, and we'll have him again this evening. Mr. Massive himself, Sterling Moss, the critics call him. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You can't cuss me on the live broadcast, and Virgin, so you better smile and accept.
Not on smile. Not on smile.
Boy, Kurt, can you just walk us through that race? I mean, for the most part, you were literally just trading fastest laps with Jaden Harrison up to a point. I was wondering if you were just, playing the team strategy, but then we clearly saw Tim lose it, then Jaden lose it, and we're just like, maybe Kurt is just putting the pressure on these guys and saying, yo, gentlemen, we have a charging Colombian behind of us. We need to get going. So can you just walk us through your race, please?
Well, I actually wasn't trying to fight for position. We had enough pace to, I think, get a 1, 2, 3 on the podium easily. So I was comfortable where I was at. I was just trying to keep pace with Jaden and Tim at that point. But unlucky for them that they made a mistake and spun and handed me the win.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I'm not sure if it was. I think it was more. I don't know if it was pressure. As a matter of fact, we did notice Jaden Harrison that something looked like maybe a mechanical failure for him on his second crash. Could you walk us through his first crash, the one with
Well,
you in front of him?
with me in front of him, no, he spun while leading. That's how I got the lead from him. He
Yeah.
into that what you call it, that you
The hairpin.
hairpin.
Yeah, the hairpin.
Yeah.
It was a
Yes.
one, yeah.
So he spun on. I wasn't even pressuring him that much. I think he just got on it too early and and lost the rear of the car.
Okay. No, because we did notice a few corners ahead, right by the next straightaway, not the start finish stretch. He was literally in a straight line and then just started spiraling. So we're wondering if there was an maybe a incident with his wheel or something of the sort. We couldn't tell. So we're wondering if we missed something because that was a one moment.
I didn't notice any of that. So
Okay.
not from my POV.
Josh, any
Personally,
concerns?
all I saw was my F4 teammate taking the P1 home. Warms my heart to see the teammates doing well. Sorry I couldn't be here with them, but tomorrow we're gonna be strong.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, I don't know about tomorrow. I'm hoping to make it, but you know how it is with me. So
Yeah,
Here the
Bridget,
disappointment starts.
we got you yesterday, we got you today. I can't ask for more. If you really make it tomorrow, that's just cherry on or icing on a cake. So if you can make it, God is great. But nonetheless, man, thank you so much for joining every time when you get the chance and putting on a spectacle every single time, man. What a race that was.
thanks, man. I do try to give a good race all the time. Race clean, race hard, and have fun. That's it.
There we go. Josh, any final remarks?
No, just my teammates on top. I'm the happiest man in the world. He drove great. He drove consistent, and that's what really matters in races like these.
Well,
Respect, Joshua. Respect.
there we go, and there you have it. Kurt, Mr. Massive, thank you as always for joining, brother.
No doubt, man. Until the next one.
Until the next one. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Kurt Moss there, finishing off in P1 with his teammate in P3. Miss Raven Plummer, Estefana Barrera, unfortunately will not be able to make the interviews for this evening, but promises to make it for next week. But nonetheless, what a showcase of racing. Mr. Joshua Brady, any closing remarks?
It's unfortunate our driver of the day wasn't here for
Right,
the interviews,
right.
you know, it was still amazing to see. And Tim gets a close second for that one. Both of them were
Definitely.
just hard charging through the pack. Super fun race to watch. I'm glad to be in the commentary box with you.
I'm definitely looking forward to dragging you in a few more times in the future. So don't feel too accustomed of it. You will definitely be invited again. But
And I
nonetheless,
can't refuse.
nonetheless, man, it was a pleasure to have you here on board with me. As I said, I'm a little bit under the weather. You did make this a lot more enjoyable for me and a lot easier for me, especially with the Holy Pod talking. I'm sure even easier on the fans out there to not have to suffer through my voice for the entirety of this 40-minute sprint. But nonetheless, what a race that was. Joshua Brady, take a bow. What an awesome job you did this evening, and I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow in or as we cap off the triple header at the Tsukuba circuit in our Formula 4 championship in the F Formula 4 cars, obviously. Starting live at 1:10 p.m. with practice going on for 50 minutes up until 2 p.m. Qualifying is 20 minutes and then a 40-minute sprint race. So if you have the time, please, after church, get some lunch or dinner on the stove and settle down with us as we enjoy the spectacle. I mean, the Sunday races are absolutely my favorite. The Formula Series, iRacing Series is really becoming one of my more favored platforms. So in the revamping of the league, I will definitely be looking to see where we can include iRacing on our Saturday series instead of Assetto Corsa when and where we can. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, I've been your host, Stephen Stewart, and Joshua Brady.
Yes, sir.
And we will be seeing you tomorrow for the action. Thank you for joining us. Have a blessed evening, and we hope to see you live and in support tomorrow evening for the capping of, well, round 5 of the Formula 4 Championship. I've been your host. Thank you so much. We
Yes,
are
sir.
coming
Good night.
up
Thanks for
to,
having me.
as
man. So
there is a round.
outside. Oh yeah.
Ooh, let's try the switcheroo.
We all know what this is gonna be. You came and failed the test, you met the best, expected chess, but got monopoly. I came and bought you out, I knocked you out, I cropped you out with no apologies. I am the hope, the heart, the faith, the spark, the one who will fulfill the prophecy. I just been counting, never lounging, climbing up mountains, bouncing back. Step in the ring, about you step back. They'll learn hot when I get on the track. I like it louder than most. Watching all these shooters buy down to the goat. If I can't decide, I'ma probably get both. We didn't celebrate, but right now I'm a toast. Resurrected.
Here is Eastman going side by side with Jaden Harrison. Jaden Harrison took him on the inside, but Eastman says no and closes the door. But here he is now about to lose 2 positions heading into the penultimate corner. Now coming through the final corner.